Tom was born with music in him. I swear. I can't quite remember the song now, but the voice stood out as a child. But then you always wondered whether it would change, because they do, don't they? Tom's never did. And I knew once he'd get the chance, he'd take it. Definitely. That's the type I am. I could believe that. I knew it was in him, and I knew he'd do it.
Tom Jones is, without doubt, a phenomenon. I mean, I think anyone who enters the consciousness in as big a way as he has, you can't help but look at it as more than just a singer. I mean, you know, he's a great singer, he's got a fantastic voice, and yet I think everyone, when you say Tom Jones to someone, they have an image. They have an image, perhaps, of this sort of, like, medallion-wearing, rather dated-looking macho man. You know, and even though he hasn't dressed or acted that way maybe for the last 10 years, there's such a strong, powerful image connected to the name of Tom Jones that he would live on for that reason, if nothing else.
I don't mind being treated as a sex object, as long as it's by females. I mean, I think it's very flattering, but I wouldn't want it to only be that. The most important thing is my talent, my voice, the music that I'm making. But, and then the showmanship, you know, is secondary to that. I think any performer, when you try to do the best you can and it doesn't click, it doesn't come together, it's frustrating. And that's what it started to happen in the early 70s. I wasn't getting the songs, and some of the arrangements weren't that clever. So I would like to have the records really sounding good. Not only my voice, but the whole sound of the album.
Last night with a brand new emergency, and I let you in like a bad religion. One look at you and I know it's...
If you have vocal talent, your feelings will come out through your voice, the way you feel about life. And that's the kind of songs you pick. When you hear a song, you think, I could rip the... You know, I mean, I could do something with that. I could put myself into that song and make it something and put myself into it. That the song has something to say that I would naturally say myself.
I'm blown apart by the bombs you hurl at me when we're far apart. I'm a war-torn victim. And it's all a part of the strange addiction that's inside of me. I try to be the earth and sky for you. So low,
concocting stories about Tom Jones to the papers in Australia, which I never gave him any permission to do. I don't need him to do that. We don't do that personally from out.
That's the trouble when they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I thought he was doing
Tom Jones
It
Enterprises.
wasn't a major thing, but it just...
Yes, who's calling, please? Okay, sure, hold on.
Hello? Sandy, how's it going? Yeah, no, that wasn't important. I've been managing my father now for 4 years, and Donna, my wife's been handling the press and publicity. It's always a challenge, being the son and daughter-in-law and working and making very, very conscious decisions. But we try to keep it in a respectful situation, and I'm lucky enough, I think, to manage to keep a fine line between the two.
Why, do you love hot that much?
It's easy to be an outside party, analysing a situation of what somebody that you are very close to is recording. But I always had a strong opinion that some things were just wrong. Certain, choices of material. And not challenging. In an ideal world, the focus of his image will shift about 3 feet upwards and last always with his voice and nothing else.
It's really not the way we like to be represented, because it really isn't that kind of an act at all. It's not that kind of a show. Right. Also, the sentence that says intense, emotional, gyrating rhythm and blues act. I think we can kind of lose the gyrating, if you don't mind. And gyrating is, it makes him look a bit cartoon-like, and we really don't want to encourage any disrespect in that regard.
My son is about 5 minutes away from me by car, and so is my mother and my sister. It gives me pleasure because I love my mother and I love my sister and my son and his wife and my grandchildren, and my wife, of course. Let's not forget my wife is there as well. But I like having my family around me because some people don't spend enough time with their families and then it's too late. Parents die and you think, oh my God, I wish I'd spent more time with them.
Doing homework?
Well, I did this the radio station out in Sydney. No, remember I told you when we went out, magazine writer, he said, instead of just doing an interview, we'll go have a few drinks. And the boss of the radio station says, when you were here in '66, you worked for a magazine, and you went on a pub crawl, and you were the only one left standing. I said, well, I'm glad he remembered that, because it could well happen again.
You're the only one left standing. You were the only one left standing.
One of the things recently I saw, and it sort of summed up Tom Jones in a way to me, there's a kind of like real two extremes, perfectly encapsulated in one newspaper cutting I saw a while ago, was that Tom Jones and his son Mark were flying back to LA, where they have a home. So it's obviously a jet-set lifestyle. Here you have these two guys, very, very successful, powerful showbiz, the paper's interesting. And what do they do when they're at the airport? Do they pose for the photos? Do they go to the executive sort of lounge? No. They were standing at the bar and they drank 8 pints of bitter each in the morning. And that is just so perfect.
I realized that was a great place to grow up because there were a lot of hills and they were all the same kind of people that lived there. Being working class and always looking up to the big house on a hill or something. There was nothing like that. We were all working class people, but very close. Everybody knew everybody else.
I'd be cleaning the lounge down in our place in Laura Street, and there was a deep windowsill with the drapes hanging over. Tom would get up in that windowsill, and then he'd say to me, he'd pull the curtains, the drapes over, and he'd say, Mum, call me out now. And I'd say, oh, wait a minute now, because I'm busy. And he'd say, no, call me now. So I'd say, Tommy Woodward will be out next. So there Tom would jump out, and then he'd start to sing. Well, I knew there was some talent there. He wasn't shy in any way, say.
I would have to get on to the table. Oh, Tommy always had to jump on the table and sing. I didn't want to just sit in the corner. But I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. I just felt I wanted to do it. You know, I wanted to be good. I knew I had a voice. I knew I could sing as good or better than anything that I could hear on the radio. Nothing ever came on the radio that I couldn't do. I felt that, you know, if these people could do it, I could do it. I was working in the glove factory in '55. I would be singing along with these rock and roll records in this glove factory. And these guys would say, what the hell are you know, what is this? You know, it's rhythm and blues, it's 12-bar blues. I said, I don't care what it is. It's exciting. And they said, well, what do you find exciting about it? I said, well, just bloody listen to it. You know, I mean, the stuff you were listening to is a load of bollocks as far as I'm concerned. My favorite always in the 50s was Jerry Lee Lewis, because he had a very natural, open voice, and his timing was fantastic. The way he would move, you know, syncopation was incredible, I thought.
Woo, shake it, baby. You can shake it one time for Jerry Lee. Well, come on over, baby. Whole lot of shaking going on. Now get it down real low one time. Now shake, baby, shake. All you gotta do, honey, is stand it in one little old spot. And then I want you to wiggle around just a
I didn't know what the feeling was. It's just that I knew that, you know, that I had a feeling for this girl.
That's when you got something.
Oh, she looked fantastic. I mean, she was the best looking girl in the school.
That's when you got something. That's when you have got something.
We were in the telephone box that we have out by the pool. And because that's where we used to do a lot of our chatting because of the weather in Wales. In the wintertime, especially raining. So we would jump in this telephone box and talk. So she told me that she was pregnant. So first of all, it was like shock. And I thought, oh my God, you know, what's my mother going to say? I mean, that was always the thing with me. Oh, what's my father going to say? What's the family going to say? What's this going to... I never really... The initial thing was, I'm in hot water. And when it was then explained to me that you can get married, and we both said, we want to be together. When Mark was born, I was only 16 years old. I walked to the hospital with a shopping bag, which you wouldn't be seen dead with, you know, a week before. You know, I had this bloody teddy boy suit on with a shopping bag. And I walked into the hospital and I saw Linda and then, you know, my son, and I came out of there and I thought, who could touch me now? And I got on the bus to go home. And I passed a dance hall that Linda and I used to frequent. And I got off the bus at this dance hall and walked into the dance hall. And one kid, and you know, I went into the toilet, and one kid said, "Oh, we heard you had to marry Linda Trenchard," and you know, and I grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up, you know, on the wall. And then you know, people pulled me off, but I was so sort of lifted by the fact that. You know, that I had a wife and I had a little boy. It made me a man. It made me feel much stronger than I was a week before. I worked on building sites and I worked in factories until I could become a professional singer. I could sing gospel things like I Believe. And even if I sang a rock and roll song, I was still hitting it hard. So I could sing I Believe and then hit them with great balls of fire, you know, and, you know, catch them with their pants down type.
I'm going to manage him.
London is London. Is anyone in doubt about it? London is London. It's easy to find out about it. London, it's springtime. Cockney champagne. London is summer. Lots of rain, but who's complaining?
Then he came up and lived with my wife and I in Bayswater for a long time. But I used to take him around, the odd bookings I'd get for him, and nobody could see anything. They all said it. Millions of auditions used to go to for clubs, They said he shouted and he screamed and he moved, he was old-fashioned, when in fact he was ahead of his time.
It was difficult because I didn't look like what was going on. You know, the group scene was very big. The Beatles, of course, started it. And most of the groups copied the Beatles, hairstyle especially. Looked slightly different, but similar. And I didn't look anything like that.
And I looked around when I came here, and I saw nothing but groups. And I'm not a group, I'm a solo. And I looked around, and I saw everybody just stood there. I wanna love you, yeah, 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 love you, yeah, 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 and just shook their hair, and they didn't move. You know, they didn't move their bodies. And I said, well, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to do a Harlem act. So I took James Brown's act.
No, I never imitated him. I mean, if you listen to the two of us sing, there's a difference. He would camp it up on stage. I've never camped it up on stage. He wore blousy shirts, but as far as stage presence is concerned, it was a different thing. He was very flowery, you know, he was very flamboyant. I always consider myself as being more basic and more raw.
Tom copied the same people that I did in rhythm and blues music.
Nothing was really happening. We were getting the odd dates, the odd nights here and there. So I knew it had to be this record. I opened all the doors. And I wrote a song titled, actually, my wife came up with a title. It's Not Unusual. And it was originally as a country, little thing I'd got on the piano. I asked Tom if he'd do the demonstration record, sing it. It was great, it came out, we were in the pub having a drink, and he had a face as long as a fiddle. I said, what's the matter? And he said, I want that song.
It's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die.
The first recording we did with It's Not Unusual was with beautiful instruments like vibraphones and bells and things. And we recorded it that way. There is still a recording around that way. But Peter Sullivan, he's Tom's record producer, said, it's not strong enough. Tom needs a lot of brass behind him. Can't we with the vibraphones away?
It's not unusual to be loved by no one. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die.
Between shows, I was having a drink with Cilla Black and a bunch of other people in the pub, and a bunch of people gathered outside this pub, and I thought they were, because there were a lot of, groups and everything on the tour. And I thought they must have been, screaming for them, and I walked right into the crowd. It was me that they were after, because It's Not Unusual had gotten to #1, and I didn't know yet. So that was the time that it hit me, that these, females were, wanting a piece of me, as a week before, they wouldn't buy me half a bitter.
Fans that discovered where we lived, and we also weren't used to reporters. Suddenly our phone was non-stop. We just weren't prepared. And of course my husband said, to Tom, you can't be seen to be married. There's no way. In those days, a pop star was single, not married. And Linda, I think from the very beginning, was made to feel that she really mustn't exist in his. And I think it was put mainly by Gordon. It's very sad, because she's a lovely person and very warm And if only she'd got that confidence initially, she would have been different, I'm sure. But she always stayed very much in the background, very much.
One day he could do a Jerry Lee Lewis, the next he could most certainly sing like Otis Redding, and by the same token could do a Diana Ross if he wanted to.
The old hometown looks the same as I step down from the train, and there to meet me is my mama and papa. Down the road I look, and there runs Mary, hair of gold and lips like cherries. It's good to touch the green, green grass of home. Yes,
a real Welsh voice, I mean, sing across the valleys, you know. Tremendous volume, tremendous quality of sound, great range, and most important, always sang in tune.
I saw the flickering shadows of love on her blind. She was my woman. As she deceived me, I watched and went out of my mind.
Gordon was a unique manager, a man of enormous strength and vision, and he had a very fixed idea of what he wanted Tom to become. He really knew how to deal with people, and some of the toughest. And he had one vision, and that was to make Tom the biggest male star since Presley. And he became totally ruthless, and anybody who got in the way was knocked aside. And he just headed for that one goal.
I first saw Tom Jones rehearsing for Sunday night at the Palladium. He was dressed casually, but he performed as if he was doing his actual performance. I called my friends at American Broadcasting in America and asked Martin Starger, who was vice president in charge of all programming for ABC, to come to England and see Tom Jones at the Talk of the Town. I had previously gone to see him there to make sure they lived up to my expectations. Marty Starger came with me and was over the moon. He says, we'll do a special, and if it works, we'll get a series order.
I didn't think I was cut out to host a television series. You know, Gordon said ABC would like to do a TV special with you, which was fine. And he said, and it could turn into a series. I said, Gordon, what do you mean, to host it? Yeah, he said, you would be the host of your own show every week. I said, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can say, ladies and gentlemen, here's so-and-so, so-and-so.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
I wanted it to be more rock and roll. They wanted it to be more middle of the road. My heroes were 50s rock and roll singers. So ABC, they weren't too thrilled about getting, especially then in 1969, because the 50s rock and roll singers were not in vogue. So it was a little difficult. So it was almost like a trade-off.
On the early morning to the early night, well, I saw Miss Molly rocking at the house of blue. Oh, golly, Miss Molly, yeah, Lord, it's so like the bone. You're rocking in a rolling bed. I can't hear your mama sound. Yeah, golly, Miss Molly.
Tom Jones was a mover. He really gave you rhythm. I mean, even when he sang a ballad, you could feel the rhythm there.
He can take you any place he wants, to fancy clubs and restaurants, but I can only watch you win. My nose pressed up against the window pane. I who have nothing, I who have no one, must watch you go dancing by, wrapped in the arms of somebody else, when darling it's I who loves you.
It was apparent right away there was a very attractive, sensuous-looking man. I should say boy. That it became a sex symbol is incidental. It was his performance that counted. Without the performance and vitality that he put into each performance, he would have never been a sex symbol.
That I've never been lifted before. Give it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore.
Tom used to have a driver called Chris, and Chris used to be in the wings with the towels when Tom came off after a couple of numbers. And if Tom had spied somebody in the audience that he thought was interesting, Chris would go around during the show and go and say, would you like to come have a drink with Tom afterwards? They would go and be invited to join the inevitable Dom Perignon on ice. And there would be Tom with the towel around his neck in his dressing gown, ready to meet them. And Chris would stand guard outside the door. And that was it. I was never in the room.
I got to wait till the midnight hour. Oh, yeah. That's when my love comes tumbling down. I got to wait till the midnight hour. That's when there's no one else around. Listen, I'm gonna take that girl and hold her. Do all the things I told her in the midnight. Oh, yeah.
I was always on about getting my nose fixed because it was broken. And I was always conscious of, from this side it was like there, and from this side it was all right because it went in the other way. So I'd be talking to people like this all the time. And my teeth, the same thing. I had crooked teeth. This one would go over here. So I said, Gordon, I want to get my teeth capped and I want to get my nose straightened. No, you don't want to do that. You want to be as natural as possible. But as time went on, he wanted me to look more glamorous than the natural stuff. He changed in that respect. He said, you are a star and you must look like a star.
They tried to make it safer again, always trying to make it less rough, more polished, and safer for everybody to watch on television. And it's okay to say that if that's the nature of what you're trying to do to the whole show, but that's eventually what they did to Tom Jones by the end of the three seasons as well.
Hi, everybody. This is Tom Jones, and this is the lovely to look at Claudine Longier.
Can't have everything. Be satisfied with the little you may get. You can't have everything. Have everything.
But as a result of those shows, he was world renowned. And America, of course, he got tremendous fees, phenomenal fees. The same kind of fees as Sinatra or Andy Williams or the great superstars.
Las Vegas, Las Vegas!
Where's that beautiful redhead? Can we put a light down there? How are you?
Well, she's all you'd ever want. She's the kind that like to flaunt and take to dinner. Well, she always knows about...
Oh, hello. Here we go. When are they going to finish that dress? I'm only playing.
Ray, oh, John, so come to the cabaret. Come to the cabaret.
Then I realized that I'd gotten across to the American public, and that the thing was complete, as far as not having people wonder about me. You know, well, who is this guy? I mean, then they knew who I was.
Here we are on the Star Homes Tour in Los Angeles. On this tour, we'll be seeing the homes of Lucille Ball, Gregory Peck, Clark Gable, Elvis Presley. That's our gate to our left of the Hefner Estate, the Playboy Mansion. This is an electric fence over here with bougainvillea bushes over the side of the gate and the fence. The estates in Bel Air range anywhere from $2 million up to approximately $55 million. And over here on our left is the home of Tom Jones. This home was the former estate of Dean Martin, and Tom Jones has been living here for a couple of decades already. Tom Jones just came back from a tour of Las Vegas where he performed at the Bally's Grand.
The image had to be very much a sexy image. He was the ultimate macho man, not medallion man, he was the macho man. Photographs were extremely important. We chose the pictures, and we told newspapers, if you wanted a picture of Tom Jones, you use the picture that we agree on. Most of it was built around making him appear very, very expensive. Tom only wore the most expensive clothes. He would use Zibelline, a very expensive bath oil, which I think was £17 a tiny, tiny bottle then. That was only make about 3 bars. He would, he'd have the best Rolls Royce. It was necessary to get all that across. And in particular, it had an enormous effect, by the way, on his fees, because his agent came to me one day and he said that after a story had appeared in the paper saying Tom Jones didn't work anywhere for less than £5,000 a night, he hadn't had an offer for him for less than £5,000 a night, whereas before he'd been getting considerably less than that.
Women may come, or women may go, but before I say I love you, so I want money, honey, baby. Don't you know it? Money, woman, you better show it. Money, honey, if you wanna get along with me. Yeah, money, honey, if you wanna get along with me.
The greatest art was in getting the maximum number of people into a stadium, selling the maximum number of records, or making a television show which would be seen in more countries than any other. It was a very commercial operation. The artistry was in reaching all those people. I mean, he wasn't a Mick Jagger, he wasn't a rebel, he wasn't a Beatle, or somebody who wanted to make a political statement. His statement was in getting through what was Tom Jones' voice, pushed on by Tom Jones' sexuality, to a colossal number of people, and in that, very few people have been that successful as he was.
Elvis heard me sing and saw me perform, felt that I had the right idea as well, that we were very similar. Well, the first time I met him, and when he was walking towards me, he was singing With These Hands. And he told me that he'd bought all my records to date. which like knocked me sideways because I was all ready to tell him how much he'd influenced me and everything. So we became friends then.
He just really liked his voice. He liked the range that he could take his voice, and he was still shocked that he was not black. I mean, I think that was one of the biggest surprises Elvis had. He could not believe that he was white and had a voice that, you know, could belt out the notes that he had, that he did. When we saw his shows, maybe he related a little bit to how it was when he first started out. The girls were going crazy. They were running up to the stage. It was kind of a kick for Elvis to see that happening, you know, for somebody else. The same thing that had happened to him when he was younger or earlier. And he really got off on it and just thought it was terrific. And, of course, Tom would tease the audience and play around with them, as I'm sure he still does today. And not taking it so seriously. That was the other thing. Tom really didn't take it seriously. Elvis never took that seriously. It was part of it. You know, it was part of the show. And that kind of surprised Elvis too, that, you know, you can still go backstage and there was a real person there. There's someone that can, down to earth, you can talk to. It was not an ego trip.
The nights grow cold, my search for gold is leading nowhere. Whichever it's a fight to survive just until tomorrow. How can I display what I know I'm worthy of when they turn me away?
Well, I was influenced by Al Jolson. He was doing what I wanted to do. I like to try and bring the audience in to me, and I like to be as natural as possible. So therefore, I'm not putting on a front. You know, I'm being wide open. I'm bearing all.
With respect, not humiliation.
It's fantastic. It's movement and singing.
Oh, yeah, fancy. Yeah, fancy. Between you and me, don't tell anyone else, but I am moist at the thought of Tom Jones.
Once again, pussycat. Whoa, 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 whoa. Pussycat, pussycat, I've got flowers and lots of hours to spend with you. So go and powder your cute little pussycat nose. Pussycat, pussycat.
A great deal of the drama and power of a Tom Jones performance derives from very intimate sort of contact with the audience.
You and your pussycat nose.
There's a small but, you know, fascinating history of sexual deviation where smell is involved, and particular forms of odour. Scientists, odorologists, know that there's a fatty group of acids, I think known as the capril group, which includes cheese and rotting bones, but also includes the odour of human sweat, which is known in small quantities to be a powerful aphrodisiac.
I'll soon be kissing your sweet little pussycat lips.
There's a routine in many of Jones's performances where women throw their underwear at him, and during his act, the sweating brow will be mopped with the knickers will be returned, and they will acquire not only a sort of strong erotic property, but I think even more interestingly, a sort of talismanic property. And I think what's interesting about that, and one is viewing the whole Tom Jones performance as a sort of ritual, what's fascinating about that is it gives evidence of the lingering place of witchcraft in our society.
I don't know how someone could read witchcraft into that. That's complete bollocks. It's people chucking knickers at a singer. You know, it's as simple and as basic as it appears. There's nothing below the surface. You fancy him, it's a ritual, chuck your knickers at him.
put your hand on your hip. And now you let your backbone slip. Stick out your tongue, put your hand in the air. Make a peace sign like you just don't care. Now you're free, gotta lose control. All got sugar, got a little bit of soul. You don't have to think, you don't have to move a muscle. Just do the brown meaning heavy letter resurrection.
Sometimes people think it's too macho, that you're doing it for effect, which I'm not, you know. If they say, oh, he's overplaying the sex, I'm not overplaying, I'm not playing. You know, I'm doing it as I feel it.
Just a little bit of soul. Do you feel all right? Do you feel all right? Do you feel all right? Do you feel all right?
The only thing is, does it look believable? I believe it, but I'm 50 years old, you know, so there's certain things that you say, man, you know, I don't know whether you should do that, you know, at your age.
At the beginning, being married to someone in the music business, you think it's wonderful. It is exciting, but there are lots and lots of times when wives have to be on their own. And then it is lonely, and you can't trust them completely because of the situation in show business. People are there for the taking, you know, and so distrust comes in, and it's very difficult over the years to remain together with a good marriage. It is difficult.
I've never had a serious affair. It's never been questioned that I would ever leave my wife for anybody else. It's out of the question. So whatever has happened has always been casual. The only real thing is my marriage. And as long as we can hold it together, you know, as long as my wife can can put up with me, then I'll be there. And I wouldn't want it any other way. She doesn't allow me to get away with anything. It's not like, oh, well, you can get on with whatever you want to get on with. That's not the truth. I mean, if anything comes out, I have to explain my actions. If she reads anything in the paper that she doesn't like, I can't say for definite that for a man to have an occasional fling is any different than a woman. I mean, I can't say that for definite, but I think that it's easier for a man to have an occasional fling than it is for a woman. I think a woman gives more of herself when she makes love than a man does, because that's the way nature is.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world, don't you know? But it wouldn't mean nothing without a woman or a girl.
I want to compete, not just be an oldie but goodie, you know, one of the 60s performers, you know. I mean, I want to still compete today, so I want this next album to be a modern, contemporary album. Gordon used to tell me that it's a shame that a singer is not like a boxer, that you can't, you know, even though you feel that you are the best singer, you can't go proving it by knocking other singers out. You know, as with a boxer, if he is what he thinks he is, he can prove it by annihilating, the competition. But with entertainers, you know, you can't do that. You have to compete.
There's been such a gap in his successful recording career. It's difficult to go to publishers and songwriters and garner their best material from them. You know, they'll go to whoever, whether they like the artist or not. It's just business sense tells them let's send it to whoever's successful at the time. So as far as what we've done now is, we've been lucky with this album, I think. We've just managed to get a lot of good songs from some writers that are very successful at this time. One of the wonderful things with this Van Morrison development is it happened very quickly. The two men, I think, have in common that they really, really love music. And again, words. I mean, the words that Van Morrison writes and the way that Tom Jones can portray them and sing them is just a perfect marriage.
You see me up there, baby, on the screen. But I know better now. It's so unreal. If this is success, then something's awful wrong.
I love to sing. I'm a bit lazy in that respect because singing is very easy for me. It's a very natural thing for me to do, is to sing. But if I tried to write a song, it would be difficult. So I've never tried. Because there are a lot of good songs that I could not write. So, but I know I can sing as good or better than anybody else. Yeah. Ooh, yes.